Hey everybody, it's your main man Eddie Monster. Before we get into the video that you're about to watch, I just wanted to ask for one quick favor. You see, in my hometown of Attleboro, Mass, we are trying to revive an old theater house. That's right, the Union Theater, as you can read right there. It's an old theater house that was opened in 1928, first as a vaudevillian theater, and then eventually in the 1930s with the invention of talkies, it eventually became a movie theater house. Now, it closed in 1992, and we would love to bring this Sleeping Beauty back to life. So we're asking you, the beautiful people in the horror world, to help us out. Right here, as you can see, there's the givebutter.com site. We also have a QR code you can scan right now. We're not asking for millions. We're not asking for thousands or even hundreds. If you could just even donate $1, anything would be greatly appreciated, because anything helps. You know what I mean? And we would love to see this old Sleeping Beauty come back to life. So any donation is a great donation. Thank you so much, and enjoy the show.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
From the prime time, bitch!
Nothing like a strangulation to get the circulation going.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
This house is clean.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
I am pain.
Hey, welcome everybody. It's Eddie Monster, your main man here, and we've got quite the episode for all of you today. So usually this would come out as a podcast episode. We were doing that stuff, but we figured the podcast page itself and everything is good for Eddie's 31 Days of Halloween. But if you want more content, the YouTube channel is where it's at. That's right. And we've got a good one for you all today, because we are checking out the brand new film Until Dawn, which is a new horror film that came out on April 25th, and it's based off of the video game Until Dawn. So, you might be asking yourselves, what is the movie all about? I'm here to tell you. Well, the film was directed by David F. Sandberg. You guys may remember him from such films as Lights Out. He also did Shazam, and he's directing this film. Now, usually I'm a little weary when it comes to movies that come from video games, right? Sometimes they're hit or miss with me, whatever the case may be. Some people enjoy them. I thought, like I said, they're hit or miss. But anyways, the movie stars Ella Rubin, who you may remember from Anora. It's an Academy Award-winning film. She plays our main character, Clover. And along with her friends, we've got Michael Cimino, who you may remember from Annabelle Comes Home. He plays Max, who's sort of the love interest in all of this. And then we've got best friend Odessa. I believe it's A'Zion is what her name is. If I butcher any names, I greatly apologize for that. But you may remember her from Hellraiser, the remake, which was a hit or miss with fans. I loved it. I don't mind a female Pinhead. Let me just tell you, I thought the movie was brilliant. But nonetheless, she plays Nina. She's a friend of Clover. And I believe she's a friend of somebody else close to Clover. I'll get into that in a minute. We have Ji Young Yu, who you may remember from Freaky Tales. I have not seen that yet. That's on my list of films to watch. But she plays Megan, who is the one in the group that has the psychic powers, so to say, as she likes to tell everybody that she does. And then, of course, we've got Belmont Cameli, who is in the Saved by the Bell series. Let me start that again. Then we have Belmont Cameli, who's in the Saved by the Bell TV series, not the cool one with the original Zach Morris and all those guys. No, the 2020s remake of Saved by the Bell. But nonetheless, he plays Abe. He is Nina's boyfriend going into this. And now, what the film centers around is this group of friends are looking for a girl who's been missing for 1 year, right? And it happens to be Clover's sister, Melanie or something like that, of that nature. Whatever, doesn't matter. Anyways, so they stumble up. They've gone everywhere. They've tried to retrace her steps. They believe they've gone everywhere possible that you could possibly go to, until they get to a gas station. And they recognize the gas station because it was in one of the last videos that Clover's sister had recorded. Now, according to the gas station attendant, he says, "Oh yeah, they went by this place down the road, which when they get there has been abandoned, or looks like it's abandoned because there's only one place that's standing, and it's a welcome center." Little do they know what they're about to enter into. Now, once inside and somebody signs the welcome book, all bets are off in this film, because now you have until dawn the next day to try and survive the night. There's an hourglass, right? So once the hourglass sand comes all down, if you're still alive by the end of it, guess what? You're free. If not, you have to relive another night, another night, another night, another night. So it's sort of like Happy Death Day, sort of like Groundhog's Day, all those kind of movies, except this one is a little different. You see, not only do you survive the night, I shouldn't say survive the night. Not only do you come back alive after you've died, but you still suffer from what happened. Right? So if your eye got taken out, you sort of have a black eye. Kind of. But they also are transforming and they don't know why. But eventually as the film goes on, and by the way, spoiler alert, I like to say this, if I get into too much detail, you're being warned right now. If you don't want to hear it, don't continue on, so on and so forth. All that fun stuff. But they start finding out details in the movie that there is like some weird, I don't know, scientific thing going on, because the gas station attendant just happens to also be Dr. Hill, played by Peter Stomare. Now, he's a fantastic actor. And basically, we start learning a little bit more about him. We start learning a little bit more about what's going on in this place, what happened, what is happening to them. All these crazy details that are very important, because it's all about their survival. Because if you look at the book, I mean, and even the trailer says it, it's 13 times, right? Well, that 13th time could end up being your last time, just because of pattern that they've seen throughout the whole thing. It seems to be the last day that everybody gets. So it's a movie of survival. It's questioning, do you have what it takes to persevere through everything and make it to the very end? Because you can't dig up the past, right? Or you can't go hunting for it, because the more you hunt for the past, the more it might just bitch slap you in the face and call it a day. You know what I mean? So that is kind of the whole ordeal with this film. Let me talk about this for a minute, right? Because this is all about the review, right? You want to know, what did he think about the movie? And the best way I can put it is it was a bargain Tuesday at my local movie theater, right? Local movie theater chain. And with the company's, rewards card kind of thing, you got to see the movie for $5. Now, for $5, it's a hell of a watch for $5. Okay? If I had to pay any more than $5, I probably would have been like, it was okay. It wasn't bad. But in all reality, it really wasn't that bad of a film. It really wasn't. It kept it going. The pacing was fantastic, I thought, because it was just trugging along. But you were wondering, throughout the film, how are they going to get to that? Because it just looks like, we've only lived like 3 or 4 nights, technically, because if you die 4 or 5 times, that's technically 4 or 5 nights. But they did it kind of in a smart way when they transitioned, because all of a sudden they're like, one character goes, no, this is the 5th night. Another one goes, no, this is night 7. Another one was like, no, guys, this is night 13. And because if you don't believe me, go look at the book, right? So it was kind of like, holy crap, why can't we remember anything? What's going on? It's because all the deaths, they were like, what are we doing? Eventually they get some videos, some clues that's on one of the characters' cell phones. I believe it's Abe's cell phone. So they were able to figure out how to transition to get the movie rolling, because now it's the battle, right? So there's always, the beginning, which is like kind of introducing us to the bullshit that's going to happen. There's the middle part, which is, okay, people are going to start dying, you know what I mean? One by one by one. And then we get to that sweet spot at the end where now it's the final battle. Usually it's the final girl versus the killer, or in this case, the final gang versus the killers, because there's multiple killers. But I like the idea, because you wondered, what happens to all of them? Where do they go? If they keep having to relive another night, but well, if they only made it to 13, what happens to them, right? Because I think that's a logical question that all of us were kind of wondering and asking as we went along, and I thought it was kind of brilliant how they did it. You know what I mean? I don't want to say brilliant, but it was cool. It's like you kind of, after a while, there was one character says you either escape or you become it. Something of that nature. I think that was the quote. It was like something like, you either get out or you become a part of it. And that's the clue. So what's happened to everybody? They've become a part of it. You know what I mean? So kind of a cool concept in my opinion anyways. So take it right there. Let's check out some of your reviews. What you, the people, have said. This is always something fun that I like to do all the time. I go on Rotten Tomatoes. All right, so the critics so far, based off of 91 reviews, have given the film a 52%, right? You, the people, the popcorn meter, have given it 68%, which is just about right. I feel like that's kind of a right area. A little bit too cruel. My final grade is in the C level. I'll tell you where it is, but that's based off of 500 plus verified review ratings. Let's see. What are people saying? Marnell goes on and says, annoying, typical waste of money. 1 star. Joseph D gives it 3.5 stars and says, Until Dawn keeps up the trend of video game moves that are actually good. I'm sure he probably meant movies. I look forward to what they do with Subnautica. Just remember, every slasher flick you've ever seen and you'll have a fighting chance. Are you trying to tell me just to... I don't know. I don't know what that is. All right, Matthew M. 3.5 stars. I've never played the video game, and wasn't expecting much from the movie. It was fast-paced with plenty of jump scares and gory effects, which, by the way, that was probably some of my favorite shit of this movie was the kills. Some of the kills were inventive. Some of the kills were gory and pretty cool. I loved it. Spontaneous combustion, all that shit. Anyways, back to Matthew's review. As he says, it was fast-paced, plenty of jump scares, gory effects. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. Karen S. God, we got a Karen. It was more blood than anything, but it was entertaining overall. Thought it was going to be scary, but had more humor. 3 stars. This person who chose to remain anonymous. 3.5 stars. Very Groundhog Day or Happy Death Day. Mildly entertaining, however, not very scary. And I have to kind of agree with that in a way. There was a couple scenes I remember me and a buddy of mine, we went to go see this, and I remember kind of laughing at some of the scenes, which is not a good thing if you're trying to be a serious horror film. Mateo B. I like this. 2.5 stars. Another brain rot movie you somehow end up enjoying. Predictable and full of fan service, but the right amount of gore and geeky monster lore gives it a fun video game aura. Couldn't have said it better myself right there. So you got to take everything for what it is. It's a decent horror movie. If you're really into the video game, you might not enjoy it as much, but I never played the video game, to be perfectly honest, so I went into it just expecting a horror film, and I got a good time for $5. Why the hell not? You know, go and enjoy the movie. I mean, I think regular price was $8.50 that day or something, so even if you didn't have, you know, the special little pass thing, so whatever it is, go and check it out. I think it's worth a watch. Probably it'd be much more worth it if you waited until it came out on any of the streaming services or anything like that. That being said, so check it out for sure. I'm giving it a C for a final grade. You heard it here. I'll see you guys next time.